What's going on, everybody? Triple Boy Abdullah here, coming at you with another Commanders post game live stream, and I'm here with my good man Logan from My Love for Washington. Has a great Instagram page and also is a Commanders fan. Logan, how you doing today, man? You hear what I said, Logan? Well, his Wi-Fi might be a little backed up.
Yeah, it started going as soon as.
No, you're good. You're good. I was just gonna say
Sorry.
you can just introduce yourself.
Yeah, I don't know if the Wi-Fi is good, but I run My Love for Washington on Instagram. Wizards and Commanders content. Kind of split the two a decent amount. I really just the Instagram. I'm starting YouTube. Trying to get podcasts. I had my own podcast, Talking Hawks, but right now it's just the Instagram. So,
Yeah, that's good to hear. It's good to hear. I put the page in the description, so make sure you guys check that out. But we're here to talk about the game that we saw today. The Commanders lose 30-28 to the New York Jets. It was a wild ending. Twitter was going crazy. Fans were all over the place. Your first initial thoughts on the game, Logan?
there's so many different like angles to this game. Obviously, I'm looking at it two ways. One, the quarterback situation with Jacoby and Sam. And then the other side is kind of just how good the team actually is. Because it seems that both times Jacoby has come in for Sam Howell, as good as I think Sam is, the team instantly started playing way better. So that's kind of, it brings in the question of, is the team better than we think it is? And it really was just, it needed that kind of jolt from a veteran quarterback. Or is the team still, it has all these holes and it's really just a bad team and it's just Jacoby was kind of on fire, I guess. Number one, obviously, biggest question mark is quarterback. That game's hard. Both interceptions, I think you really could take away from Sam. You could say that they weren't all exactly as like 100% his fault. Definitely not the first one. But still, being benched twice in a row for Jacoby Brissett, it's hard. That's the number one thing I'm looking at right now is are we drafting a quarterback, which now it seems like it is because new front office comes in and you know that your franchise quarterback just got benched 2 games in a row. He's unproven. He's a 5th rounder. What reason, genuinely, if you're the new head coach and GM, what reason do you have to even give another chance to Sam Howell is the main thing I'm taking away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree with you there. That start when they were down 17-0 was probably one of the worst starts I've seen as a fan of this team. That's saying a lot because I've seen some pretty bad games. I mean, that first interception, Logan Thomas, when it hits your hands, like what can Sam Howell do there? And the second one when Curtis slipped, I mean, it looked like it was going to get in there, but it slipped. So it's like so much on. And then like just pressure. I get the Jets are like a top 5, top 10 defense, but the offensive line, I mean, Nick Gates looked lost, didn't know who to block. And as much as I want to give Sam the benefit of the doubt, there's some blame to him. I mean, the decision making, it's just head scratching at times, and this just does not look good. I really wanted him to be that guy for us, but it's getting hard to defend him every week, especially since when Jacoby comes in and just looks like it's like night and day when it comes to like the offense is moving the ball. The Logan Thomas touchdown, I mean, like it's just I don't know if it's more about Eric Bieniemy too. Like it just looks like the play calling is way better for Jacoby Brissett than Sam Howell. So
Yeah.
it's just a lot. Outside of the quarterback situation, we'll talk about that more. Some positives we'll talk about. Chris Rodriguez, 2 touchdowns today, had a hurdle, was balling out. What was your thoughts on his performance today?
Yeah, I think he looked really good. They're I mean, it really just puts into perspective how much talent there is on the offense. That you haven't been seeing a lot of this season, just because of how held back the offense has been because of the offensive line. Biggest part of it, we got serious ballers, and again, showed that this whole season. It's like Terry hasn't existed, And then Jacoby comes in that last game, and Terry goes back to being, the best, one of the best, if not the best player on the team. He's an amazing receiver. And then again, this game, guys that really haven't been showing anything the whole season, Jacoby comes in, and they're back to that all-star look. They look like serious weapons. It shows how much, in my eyes, the talent that we have on offense and just in general that's just not being utilized correctly.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. I think the official line was 10 carries for 58 yards, 2 touchdowns for the rookie. I definitely think he deserved the roster spot for next year. Also, a guy on the defensive side of the ball, I thought KJ Henry played amazing today. I wouldn't say amazing, but he had some flashes. And that's just a guy that, hey, we thought that he could replace Jason Montez. And even if he's a depth piece, I think it was like a 5th round, 6th round pick. So honestly, as much as people want to see this team lose, the best thing you can see is losing, but also seeing your guys, the young guys, ball out there. And I want to get to that. First you can talk about KJ Henry. What was your thoughts on him? Did you hear that, Logan?
My bad. Did you say?
Yeah, my bad.
Sorry.
I was talking about KJ Henry. What was your thoughts on his performance?
No, what did you say?
KJ Henry. What was your thoughts on his performance?
Are you talking about KJ Henry?
Mm-hmm.
My bad. Yeah,
no, you're good.
KJ Henry looks good. He's one of those. It's like he's one of those rookies that is technical, more in my eyes technical than raw power. It's like it's really like it's crazy to see a rookie, let alone just a young guy in general, at that position be so technically sound. And it really just looks like he knows what he's doing at the position. Watching KJ has been one of the better parts of the season for me. It's really eased the pain as much as it can for the Chase and Montez trades. One of the worst things, I hated that. I thinking back on it now, there's good things about it. But KJ Henry has really softened the blow. He looks great. He looks really good, especially for a late round guy. He's a beast.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I wanted to get to your thoughts on this whole idea of, is it good to root for your team losing because for a better draft pick, or do you want to see your team win every Sunday out there? There was just like mixed opinions on it. So I want your thoughts. Is it valid to root for your team to lose just to get a better draft pick?
Normally, honestly, I would kind of I push against the idea of rooting for losing in most situations. I think anyone who has really played any kind of sport competitively at any level, it just doesn't feel right to be pushing for losing. It doesn't make sense because no matter what, the fans want or coaches want, whatever, the players who are in the game, they're not going to go half-hearted. They want to win, and the team wants to win. So normally I wouldn't push for it really at all, but I think there's very specific situations like ours where you're a team that's been forced, and a fan base that's been forced through mediocrity for so long and is in this terrible, like harsh tenure of Ron Rivera, to where you start so bad and it's Ron's gone. What's best for you right now is to get picks. You traded away Chase and Montez. There's no real point in winning. And if there's no point in winning, you're already eliminated. Your coach is going to be gone. There's no way he stays. Why not root for losing, I guess? There's no real benefit to us winning, so I understand rooting for losing in that situation. I think it's okay. The same way the Wizards are right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree. Just think about it. We're always stuck in the middle. It would have been such a Ron Rivera thing for us to come back and win this game and end up like outside top 5 draft selection. Like, this team, obviously, like, as much as I hate to see it, I think they will draft a quarterback with their first round pick. So you can't really get a guy like that if you're like picking at like 8 or 9 or even 10. So yeah, it's just Rivera, bro. I guess we can talk about him. First comment. Thank you, Hawk. Happy holidays. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to all those, and happy holidays to all those who celebrate. This definitely is a Christmas gift the Commanders are giving us because there's still a chance of them having a top 3 pick. If they lose out, I'm pretty sure at 81% they have a chance of getting a Marvin Harrison or Caleb Williams or Drake May or whoever they would want. But before we get to that, talk about more about this game. Just the start was just so bad, Logan. Like as a fan, like obviously we don't expect them to win, but at least like put some effort in. I mean, the interceptions, the false starts, the block punt, like it just like it was. I think it was Terrell Burgess who somehow is leading in Pro Bowl votes in the NFC as a special teamer. Don't know how, but like the fact that like there's just no effort whatsoever. Like come on, dude. Like I literally tweeted about this. At the beginning of the game, we looked like a JV football team. Like it's just frustrating again, like coming every single game and just starting out flat as Ron Rivera has done that time in and time and again. And then other examples, Tariq Castro Fields offsides on a 4th down, gave him automatic first down. Like what other team does that? Jamison Crowder. I love Jamison Crowder, but that punt fumble was just crazy. He just literally has the ball and just throws it up. And it was literally down the sideline too, so there's a chance of it going out of bounds. But of course, as a Commanders fan, it's a fumble, like stuff like that. And there's so many other things, like just offensive line not be able to block. Eric Bieniemy, the play calling again, the commentators, I forgot, was it Adam Archuleta, was just kept harping on the fact that hey, why isn't he running the ball and just not giving Sam Howell any opportunities? And again, I'll keep saying it. I'm not blaming it all on Eric Bieniemy. I'm not saying Sam Howell is, he's the best, blah blah blah. But I will say that there is a good amount of slack. You got to cut him because the Commanders have somewhat failed him when it comes to building offensive line around him. He's a 5th-round quarterback. He is young, and the play calling is just not helping him. So I guess I can give your thoughts on that. Just the whole Rivera and Bieniemy up to this point of the season. A little rant.
You're good. I feel the same way. There's so much to it, dude, that is just mediocre. And it's just unacceptable for such a historic franchise to be in such a laughable spot and professional. Ron Rivera was in a Super Bowl. He was 15-1. He had an MVP quarterback. He's this coach that the league, he's heralded, and they talk about his tough nature and just his great character, and he motivates his team. You don't see it. This is a game against the Jets and a 4th-string free agent quarterback who just signed with them, and we're starting 17-0, goofy mistakes. The play calling, I understand. I do like Eric Bieniemy a lot as an offensive mind and an offensive coordinator. I think that his understanding of where passing game and the offensive game is headed in general, I think it really is up there with the guys like Shanahan, Slowick, Johnson, and McVay, the guys who just understand the direction which the league is heading and how to find holes in the defense and work their way to them and adjust. The problem is what rookie quarterback is going to succeed throwing 30, 40, 50 times every game with no running game? No defense has to game plan for a run game. There's nothing. And it's I get it. The offensive line is really, really bad. They have basically been the downfall of this team the whole season is the offensive line. And that's, to me, is the biggest problem and the biggest encapsulation of this whole Rivera tenure is the complete unwillingness to make any kind of moves to put the team in a better position. The whole quote of Rivera's career in Washington is that, he likes the guys he has in the building. He'll analyze the film and he'll make changes. It's embarrassing. It's sad. There has been countless times through all these years with the team, countless times that we've had a big gaping, glaring hole in the team. Linebacker, corner, offensive line, offensive guard. That then multiple free agents multiple people come. They're sitting in free agency, sitting right there at a cheap price. They're right where we need them. They're there to fill the holes. And Ron Rivera does literally nothing. He signs an ex-Panther practice squad player, or he signs just a regular practice squad player off our practice squad, or signs some random third, fourth stringer from the Rams. And he doesn't do anything to make the team better. And when you're Ron Rivera and you are completely unwilling to do anything but sit on your hands when players are available and you have obvious holes, you're not going to win. You can't cry and complain that the team isn't playing good. It's your fault. That's a big part of this whole thing is, it's the offensive line. You can't game plan around an offensive line. Sign offensive linemen. You can't get Andrew Wiley and Nick Gates coming off a season-ending injury and just a not even great career and think that that's going to do anything for you. It's sad. And money, right? We need, I get it was for money. And Norwell wasn't great for us. But your offensive line, worst part of the team last season, by 100 miles. Offensive line lost us multiple games, right? So your moves in the offseason is to cut your best lineman in Chase Roulier, right? Even dealing with injuries, I'm just putting it in perspective. Cut your best lineman in Chase Roulier, cut your second best in Andrew Norwell, third best, whatever. You have no guards now. The guard competition is Chris Paul, right? A 7th rounder. Sadiq Charles has been dealing with injuries whole career. And a rookie who's not even playing at this point. It's just, you can't do that. He's expecting, he's putting way too much faith in guys who are not proven. And it's just sad. It's the worst part of his entire tenure and these coaches in general. Nobody is willing to make moves. It's sad. You look at the Eagles. That's the worst part of this whole thing, is watching the Eagles every single week go out and find somebody at a position they need. Half the time they don't even need it. They're just putting depth in there. And it's sad. It's embarrassing. I hate it. It's disgusting.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a rant, but
that was spot on, Logan. Literally everything you said is emphasizing it. But I will say though, Ron Rivera, he does make moves. He trades up for a long snapper who can't even snap. I mean, come on, you gotta give him credit for that, right? Like, just time and again, bro. Like, and there's no accountability either. He'll do the worst possible thing and just be like, oh yeah, we're gonna evaluate. Like, it's just like, and as bad as Jay Gruden was. Like, Jay Gruden wasn't this laughable. Like, Ron Rivera, I respect the man. Like, the battle he had fighting cancer and all. But the X's and O's, the ability to not sign adequate free agents, all the guys that he brought in, just nothing. The draft, like, the last 3 years, the only guys that you can handpick that are Brian Robinson, decent. The outside of it, we drafted Darian Mathis in the 2nd round. Darian Mathis. We go 1st round corner and 2nd round corner this year's draft. When clearly offensive line is an issue. Clearly. We had a former linebacker, Jack Del Rio, as the defensive coordinator. Ron Rivera, former linebacker, head coach, and linebacker was still an issue, bro. Like, it's just so frustrating. And I'm tired of it, bro. I can't wait for a young guy to come in, Josh Harris, Mitchell Rales, Magic Johnson, bring in their guys and say, hey, you do you. You're young. You can figure it out. Not Ron Rivera, who just his hands are just sitting on his hands and not doing anything. Like, how? Like, you see, like, the Lions, they just clinched the NFC North the first time in 30 years. You see, like, the Giants last year, for example, not this year. Brian Daboll, first season, winning a playoff game, bro. We're in year 4 in Ron Rivera, and somehow the roster got worse record. Just, there's so many things wrong with this team, but I'll talk about that a little later too. But again, going back to this game, some other bright spots. What can I say? Cody Barton, a guy that we always, give a lot of smack to. He had almost a pick 6 today. Had an interception. That was great to see. What else? What am I missing? Who else made some nice plays? That I think Khaleke Hudson was kind of flying out there. What else? Emmanuel Forbes. I don't know why he didn't play until the end of the fourth. I guess when Ben St. Juste got hurt, but. Just another guy, Emmanuel Forbes. Like, I don't think he's terrible. I really don't think so. Obviously, like, everyone's saying on the field, but he's a rookie. But I really think that the coaching staff yet again has failed him. So time and time and again, it's
Exactly.
as much as people want to hate on the players and say they're trash, you also gotta look at the coaching and the development. And clearly Rivera has failed Hal, Forbes, and all these other guys. Like, if you don't give your quarterback an offensive line, who's gonna succeed behind the offensive line? You bring in Caleb Williams, you bring in Drake May, Jaden Daniels, Patrick Mahomes, prime Tom Brady. Who's gonna be able to throw when you have 0.2 seconds to throw and the play calling is atrocious? It just doesn't make any sense. But any other key takeaways from the game you want to talk about?
I do want to talk about Forbes. That's a big one. To me, this last draft was one of the most treacherous to sit through. And the thing is, we came away with a lot of good players. I have a lot of faith in the rookies we have, but watching Ron Rivera draft, completely oblivious to need and to what we should be doing, and draft stock. I think Forbes is going to be a really good corner in his career. I think Martin is going to be a good slot guy, and I think he's going to be good in his career. I think Stromberg, I think basically all of the guys we got are really solid dudes. But we had, I think, 3-4 chances at DeJuan Jones, who has been one of the best rookie linemen this year until he got hurt for the Browns. We had multiple, I think 3 chances for O'Cyrus Torrence, who is regarded as the best interior guy in the draft, multiple chances for him. Instead, we doubled down on corner, and neither of them have played more than half the snaps the whole season. If you are going to take that risk while Chris Rodriguez, who, whatever, maybe he wasn't the top of your board, Ron Rivera, everybody else in the league had Chris Rodriguez miles ahead of Forbes. You could have probably gotten Forbes in the second round at the time. And if not, you should have traded back. It's a complete unawareness, a lack of awareness of what you are doing. It's both him and Martin. You probably could have traded down and still gotten more capital. It's sad. It was hard to watch when I was, oh my gosh, Chris Rodriguez fell to us. We're getting Chris Rodriguez. And Ron Rivera, we're getting Forbes. You take a chance like that, you jump like that, you're putting the trust into Forbes, saying, we are trusting you are going to make us not regret this decision. We think you're better than Chris Rodriguez. There's no excuse for you to be barely playing him at this point. I don't care if he's terrible, right? And he hasn't looked great, but he's shown flashes. He can shadow decently well. You should be playing him. Corner is the hardest position in the league, in my opinion, for rookies to translate to going into the NFL. Every single rookie corner, except for a couple standout guys, they always struggle. It's really hard to adjust to, especially a guy like Forbes, who has a Trayvon Diggs type game style, who is going for picks and hunting the ball every single time. You know, he jumps a lot, and his footing is off half time. He's constantly getting burnt by receivers that aren't nearly as fast as him, right? Because he's looking for the ball. Mm-hmm. It's one of those things where it's only hurting him. You bench Sam Howell when we have no reason to be winning twice. You're hurting him, and he knows that. Ron Rivera basically knows he has effectively ended Sam Howell's career, 9% chance in Washington by benching him 2 games in a row. Mm-hmm. We're trying to win. We're not going to the playoffs. It's not making Ron look any better. It's hurting Sam. It's hurting Antonio Gibson getting no carries, Brian Robinson getting no carries, Emmanuel Forbes getting no snaps, Jatavius Martin getting no snaps, Ricky Stromberg, when he's been healthy, getting no snaps. These guys you took a chance on, you're not even playing them. You're not even giving them chances. It's embarrassing and sad, and it's just a terrible style of coaching. Again, respect the character to an extent. That's another thing is we've seen his character tested multiple times. He's a strong, great man. I'm not saying that. In terms of his character as a coach, it seems a lot of time like he relocates the blame to his players in a lot of situations where it's not their fault. If you're the coach, you should be taking that basically every single time. And there's just so many red flags in this situation with Ron Rivera. Number one, that's one thing I want to stamp is these young guys should be playing, whether they suck or they're great. They need to be playing and getting experience, or it's just going to happen next year. They're going to suck even more next year. They need to suck now so they're good later. That's my thought process. I think Ron has really set a lot of young guys back for this new era when he's gone.
I think you meant to say Christian Gonzalez instead of Chris Rodriguez. I think that's what you meant in the draft. Hopefully.
Yeah, sorry, Christian. Yeah,
Christian Gonzalez. Yeah. No, you're good, bro. Yeah, Martin Mayhew, just another guy, but I want to you bring in a guy that was a GM of a 0-17 team. 0-16, my bad. 0-16 team or whatever. They didn't win a game. Like, oh man, dude. The day that bro gets fired, I think it's January 8th. My mistake, or maybe I don't know, a couple of days within that. It will be a happy day in Washington. But more key takeaways from this game. I mean, I think Garrett Wilson was just out there breaking tackles left and right. I mean, obviously he's an elite talent, so it's kind of hard to watch. But again, they almost fought back, bro. They almost did. Yeah. Logan Thomas, I still don't think he's the answer here at tight end. John Bates dropped that wide open touchdown. John Bates is a blocking tight end. I think he's pretty good. But I don't know what happened to Cole Turner. I don't know if he's hurt. But we have to look at tight end this offseason and bring in a young guy. Thoughts on the tight end position?
I think you have, although tight end is not very there's not a whole lot of depth in the draft this year for tight end past the top three guys. I think, in my opinion, Brock Bowers, number 1, Jatavion Sanders, number 2 from Texas, and number 3, Luke Lachey from Iowa. I think those are top 3 guys. And after that, there's a decently big drop off. I think if you don't plan on spending that first round pick on a tight end or your second, you should be pushing for a guy in free agency like a Hunter Henry. There's a decent amount of guys in free agency this year. I think if we're not going to target one in the first 2 rounds of the draft, we should be going in free agency trying to get a tight end. It's super important, especially for an offense coordinator, who runs his offense through tight ends. When we're not using ours, Thomas is old. I love Logan Thomas. Virginia Tech. Yep, he's a beast, but he's old. He's decently injury prone, and he's taking up a good amount of money for a guy who's really not bringing you all that much at the position. If anything, he's really holding back Cole Turner and John Bates, and that's another one is John Bates. I've expected a lot more out of him, even though knowing he's a blocking tight end. But I think, honestly, in our first round pick, I think you have flexibility in our first 2 picks because there's a lot of good linemen in this draft, and we have a lot of money. We have a lot of picks in the top 100. You have a lot of room to make a lot of improvement and set yourself up to where your first 2 picks, you don't necessarily have to go for a big need. I think if you sign good linemen, or you use money to sign good linemen, and you intend on using, your second rounder, your third rounders, fourth, that area, and getting linemen also, and then also defensive linemen as well. If you allocate resources well, you are free to, in the first round, take a quarterback or a tight end. Second round, take a quarterback or a tight end. That's I think we should try and get someone in free agency. But Brock Bowers in DC, to me, that could be legendary, just because of who Eric Bieniemy is and what he's done with Travis Kelce.
Yeah, no, I agree. I just pray that these new guys in the front office just know what they're doing, and they're not going to act cute and reach for a second day guy in the first round. Hopefully not. But I guess we can also talk about the draft a little bit too. Do you think the team is going to move on from Sam Howell and they're going to draft a quarterback in the first round, or do you think this new front coaching staff is going to be like, okay, let's see, maybe we saw the highs and the lows of Sam Howell. Maybe if we surround him with more talent and better play calling, we could give him more shot to be a franchise quarterback.
That is, to me, the hardest question right now of this whole situation. It's hard. I think these last games are heavily going to factor into that decision. I think it's going to be hard because I think genuinely that Eric Bieniemy is going to push really hard on whoever's new head coach and GM he's going to be pushing hard on them. Let's stick with Hal. Let's stick with Hal. Let's give him another chance. I think if Bieniemy is promoted to head coach, which I'm not really sure how likely that is, if that's the case, I think we stick with Hal and maybe get a guy second, third, fourth round to compete. If we bring in a new guy like Ben Johnson, Slowick to be your head coach, I think we do probably draft a quarterback in the first round. It really depends. And if it gets time where Jonathan Allen might get traded, we might trade Allen, get a second first rounder out of that. That's when I think you start to see us possibly even trade up for a quarterback. I've talked about it on my page before, the prospect of using your assets to, if you're going for a quarterback, you might as well go for the best. I think there's a lot of, I'm just going to be real. I think it's a 90% chance we draft a quarterback in some shape or form. Whether or not it's a high ranking guy, I don't know. I think honestly we do. I think whether it's Jaden Daniels, maybe even Drake May, whoever, I think we're probably going to draft a quarterback in the first round. Honestly, after these being benched twice, it's really, Hal is going to have to really impress these last games to unwrite what has been written now after those 2 games. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think as much as I love Bieniemy and how we got him, I still think he's a great offensive mind, but we don't know if he's that guy at head coach. And I wouldn't mind having him stay, but I think the team will move on, just bring in a new group of guys. And I think sadly they will move on from Sam and they'll draft their guy in the first round. Do I want that? I don't think Sam again has gotten a fair shot, but again, I think it's like it just sucks, bro, because we have these weapons on offense: Curtis Samuel, Jahan Dotson, Terry McLaurin, who were getting the ball when Scott Turner was offensive coordinator. And has there really been much of a difference with EB and Scott? Slightly, maybe, but again, it's not. We didn't expect it. We expected it to be a drastic difference, and EB just hasn't lived up to it. And
yeah,
I don't know, man. It just overall it sucks. This offseason again, Logan. It sounds like every offseason as fans we say this, but this will be one of the most important off seasons for the next 5 years because this is a group that's not Dan Snyder affiliated. They want to bring their guys, and I think they're gonna let them do their own job. Hey, we'll pick the guys, but you guys do your job, and hopefully they can evaluate talent. Hopefully they can bring in free agents, and hopefully. I think we talked about this in our live stream last week that Washington, maybe outside of the LA Chargers because they have Justin Herbert and the other young guys, is one of the best destinations to come to. So maybe a guy like Ben Johnson or someone else out there would want to be like, okay, bring us in. And I don't care how much we have to pay him. If you want him to be here, give him sign the check. How many zeros he wants, bro? Because at the end of the day, we can afford it. And winning on the field is all that matters. Because us fans as Washington, it's one of the hardest teams to root for, especially since we're young fans. We haven't seen them win consistently. The last time this team won a playoff game, I was 2 years old. We have the right to be upset and be impatient because there's nothing on our screens on Sunday to root for. Think about it. Fans returning on Terry McLaurin, one of the best guys on the team, on the field and off the field. It just sucks, bro. It really does. But as bad as this team has been driven to the ground by Ron Rivera and Martin Mayhew and all these guys, there will be brighter days ahead. And now that they lost this game, they're 4-11. I think 4-11. They have the 4th pick right now, and I think it all depends. I think we're gonna lose to San Fran. We're gonna lose to the Dallas. I think that's I don't unless Dallas doesn't play their starters, but I think they'll be playing for seeding. So I think we lose these next 2 games. Do you think they start Brissett these next 2 games or just ride it out with Howell?
I really hope we start Howell. I would be livid if we start Brissett because that screws us in multiple ways. That takes away Howell's chance to prove himself to the next head coach and GM and basically says his career's done with us. And it also gives us a worse chance of getting a top pick. So I do think Rivera will give another chance to Sam Howell these next 2 games. I think he'll put him back in and let him ride it out. But I think this upcoming week of practice is probably going to be a competition. It's really It could be 50-50, honestly, that he's just going to let them battle it out and see what happens. I don't know.
Yeah, no, man. It just really is. It sucks. 'Cause I'll keep saying it, bro. Like, I don't think any quarterback under these circumstances can succeed. And I want to see the Commanders have somewhat fail somehow, as much as he's been struggling. So it sucks, bro. I really thought he was the guy that could change it, turn it around. But hopefully these next two games, like Curtis Samuel and Logan Thomas, decide to catch the ball when it's being thrown by Sam Howell, and the offensive line decides to be an above average offensive line. Who knows with this team, bro? Brighter days are ahead for this team. I know we keep saying that. It's just got to be optimistic. It's hard. It really is. But at least the Wizards are tanking now. Another DC team that we're talking about. And they have young guys. And for the Commanders, just waiting for Ron Rivera, that notification that he's fired, no longer here, and bringing hopefully new pieces. And we also got to root for the Dallas Cowboys and Philadelphia Eagles to lose in the playoffs, of course. You can't see our rivals win. Don't want to see that. But that's pretty much it. Anything else? Any other takeaways, Logan, before we out here?
I do want to say, in general, like you're saying, brighter days are ahead, and this is one of those off seasons where I do think, and this might just sound overly optimistic, something that people kill me for on my page, always drilling me for being overly optimistic and and seeing the good, but really, if you look at it, I think this is one of the best eras for DC sports we've had in a long time because of the complete change in tide for the Wizards and the Commanders. Okay, it's about to be a complete restart for both teams. The Wizards have a lot of young talent, and they're about to be tanking, getting good draft picks. They got a great new front office. Same with us. I think Magic Johnson, Josh Harris are going to. I think they're great guys, great people to be choosing the direction of this team. I think no matter what happens, whether Sam isn't our guy, whatever, we have unbelievable amount of top 100 picks and just picks in general. We have a lot of money, more money than basically anybody this offseason once cuts and such are made. We have a chance. I think we are easily the top destination for head coaches and GMs this offseason. Mm-hmm. There's so much to look forward to in so many ways. You know, you'll get to see it probably a new quarterback, a new guy who this is what we need. And in my opinion is to just cut ties, cut things and restart. When you're in such a big hole of mediocrity, you just got to take your chances and you got to completely restart, do your own thing and take a shot. It's one of those things where it's like, do you want to bet on the possibility that Sam Howell and some of these guys will be good down the road? Or do you want to take a shot on somebody that you know will be good right now? Or it will more than likely be good right now? I love Sam. I think he could be our franchise quarterback if given a real chance. But I think in a position like this, you're not losing anything by going out and getting your new guys, your new quarterback and team and just going forward. I think we're in an amazing position. Commanders, whether we're losing or whatever, we could have a top 3 pick. I'm happy. Watching this team lose, whatever. I've never felt better watching us lose before. It's better watching us lose when we have 7 wins and we have a chance at the playoffs. And it's stressful and if we lose this game, our seeding. I like it. I hope we lose out. I hope we get a top pick. I really appreciate you having me on the show. It's great to talk. It's a great era for DC sports, in my opinion. And yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I agree, man. I agree. Just got to hit the reset button. I think the worst position in sports is being stuck in the middle because there's clearly no sense of urgency or improvement. So brighter days are ahead. I can't wait to see these mock drafts. Mel Kiper, all these names are about to go crazy. Just keep doing some mock drafts, producing content out there. Just gotta be optimistic. But make sure you guys check out Logan's Instagram page. I put the @ in the description. My love for Washington, great content. Always talk about Wizards and Commanders. That's it. I think we're out. Here are the Commanders. 2 more games. Hopefully top 3 picks soon. Hopefully don't give up on Sam, but I think this new front office and new regime probably will get their guy in the first round in May. We're out.
Yep.
Peace. Hail to the Commanders.